Hi guys, Dandelion here, and Paris is back in the news, and so I wanted to make a video for people who might be new to my channel about what we have been finding on my channel, or in what I've been finding on my channel in Paris. One of my first things that I've ever found a long time ago, seems like a long time ago, it wasn't actually that long ago now, in Paris, is that there's a Philae line. This is the Philae, nope, this is the Philae line right here. I have a lot of lines now. This line right here. And it goes right through very many important sites. And the Eiffel Tower, I call him the Eiffel Tower Solar Man. It's only one of the sites. I think one of the most important sites for our times that this line goes through is Palatine Hill. So we're going to make a quick stop right here. And I haven't come back here to look for more pictures, but I think there are more pictures here. Well, this is where the wolf Lupus nursed the twins, and this is where the infection of mankind started with basically the same kind of worms that all dogs carry. And this is, you might have noticed in your own life and in the life of anybody else that you've noticed, you have probably never been wormed, and probably nobody that you know has ever been wormed. However, your dogs and cats have been wormed, and for some reason humans never pay attention to this. Well, this is the start of mankind's descent into cruelty, because they nursed from a wolf. They got the parasites from the wolf, and then the twins became so cruel that they had a death battle, and then the leader became the first emperor of Rome. So this was the start of the Roman Empire. And even though you have been taught that there is no more Roman Empire, any place that you see those leaves around anything, that you are within the Roman Empire. So the UN, you know, downtown, in your buildings downtown, you will see those leaves around different things. That means that you are basically in Rome and you don't know it. So this is still very important. The other major important, there's so many important things. I'm going to try and make an interesting video, but I got to bring people up to speed, because I don't know if you can also go back into my videos and look at my original videos about this. I wasn't as good at making videos, not that I'm great now, but then I'm a little better now, so my video might flow better now. So this line also goes almost completely and perfectly through Lago of Verno. Lago of Verno, if you look this up on Wikipedia, is the locals say that is a volcanic lake that is a gateway to the underworld. Now you might think, I would think, oh, okay, that's very cute and quaint, except for this Philae line that I discovered is so compelling, full of strange and mystical sights. Here's Cern, and here's then there's Stonehenge, and then we're going to get to the Eiffel Tower Man, and there's more things on this line that this cannot be a coincidence. And so had I had seen this first without knowing about the line, I might not have taken that very seriously. Also, you will see in my Google Earth, this is pointed to by another site. The Cathars used to be down here in the lower part of France, and they built their cathedrals and their castles pointing in various certain headings, and I have analyzed all those. And a lot of these is, you can see, like this one is a parallel and that one is a parallel. Like you can imagine in the 1300s, I can't actually remember when they thrived, but it's difficult enough to build a castle, much less up on the top of a mountain. These are beautiful castles, and they have major headings that point in directions. This one points to a gateway. And not only that, but it's actually a gateway heading. The number itself of the heading has gateway encoded in. I don't remember right now, or I would tell you. I'm not one of these people who just can rattle off these so many things. I don't know, just don't have that kind of a brain. So you have to go reference those videos. Otherwise, I'll try to do another video that shows everything. But this video is going to have a lot of topics in it, so I'm going to try to keep moving along. Okay, before we go to Paris to see the Eiffel Tower Man, which I have only seen 2 other people talk about, and both of them missed this major alignment that I'm bringing to you here, and they missed a lot of the things. One of them was Wayne Herschel. He does a lot of great work, hiddenrecords.com, and the other one is Scott, and both of them missed this alignment, as far as I can tell. So this goes down here to the Pyramid Mountain. This is an unknown pyramid right here. It's very beautiful, and it has certain and exact proximities, measurements, and headings to the Great Pyramid. this also goes down to the first temple of Isis. This is a wonderful place, but this is very important because this is the island of Philae, and we have a robotic, supposedly could be completely pretend and a completely symbolic story, an idea about a comet robot that has come back to life. And they named it after this island, which is supposedly where Osiris was buried. And there's 2 temples here, and it's all very beautiful and interesting, and has, you know, really interesting coordinates, which you can't see because of the way that I placed this. But it has a 53 and a 35 in here, and those are often their comet code numbers. You will see that. I'm not sure, but you know, Osiris has something to do with a comet, because now we have another robot that we're going to send up called the Osiris Rex. And there's a whole mural in the University of Arizona about that, and I'd like to do a video about that, except for there's just so many things that seem like they have to come first. Okay, so then there's a Castle Sonia, which I also didn't think was very important, and actually it's very difficult to find this on Google Earth. So I actually don't have a picture of this, but this Castle Sonia is pointed to by 3 major lines. So it must mean something. I don't know if it's a gateway. I don't know if something's very strange happened there. I don't know, but it means something. So just going to mention that. Up here, then we have Cern by Shiva. And you'll see that it looks like the heading changes a little bit. This is the supposed curve of the Earth. The whole heading deal in Google Earth is another very strange thing. Alright, so let's come in here. I just want to show you their 101 building, because 101 is a gateway number. As you can see, I'll pause it while the computer loads this. Oh, no, it did it. As you can see, it looks like a gateway. There's twin towers here, and then there's the circle in the middle. And so something's coming through the circle. This is the idea of the Hoover Dam, the birth waters opening. That, you know, we keep talking about they're going to open another dimension, and possibly dark armies are going to march through this hole. But anyway, it's not a coincidence that they have a 101 building here. If you do the gematria of these places, let me just look at the coordinates here. Sometimes the 101 will just point right up in the coordinates. Now these are on certain headings too. So if this was one of my exploratory videos and we had time to do this, like I did in my 10-part Pope series, which you should just grab some popcorn and settle down and try to watch, you know, a couple of those a night if you're very interested, or if you are a decoder and you need to bring some important information. Please credit me when you reference my findings. But the important thing is to get the word out, right? So I use other people's findings. I am not standing here alone thinking of everything myself, and so when I use other people's findings, I credit them, and I try to put their links in the description, or say the link over the audio wise. Okay, well anyway, these are headings. So Cern is actually pointing to something here. So what I'm going to try to do today is come back and look at where that's pointing, and I'll probably do another video. I notice if you put Cern in your titles, you get 3 times the views. It's almost like, you know, putting penis in your title or something. Rightfully so. I mean, people have a good reason to be concerned about this. Okay, so if we come up here, we come right into Paris. This line goes right exactly through. I'm going to turn this so you can see Isis's head. Paris is named after Isis. And you can see, as we zoom in, we can see her forehead and her nose and her mouth. This is her head. This is her halo. These are her, oh my gosh, she has a, I haven't seen this before. She has a white vulture on her head. Can't make this up, guys. Do you see this? I know you're going to think if you're new to my channel, you're going to think I made that up, but just give me a chance before you criticize me. Actually, just don't criticize me. I'm a nice person. Don't criticize me. Here we go. So she has a white vulture on her head. I'm going to have to come back and draw that. There are so many more things to see here. So if you tip her up this way, we're going to get to the Eiffel Tower Man, but really this is actually a bigger enchilada than even the Eiffel Tower Man. The Eiffel Tower Man is basically a tiny little beauty mark on her forehead. Let me show you her cute little forehead right here. She has her little veil. This is her veil. And on her tiny little cute forehead, we have a little tiny man. And he is pointing, his head's pointing at Stonehenge, which is a gateway. His feet are pointing at everything else I just showed you, all those other gateways. He is 1.01 mile tall. That's a gateway number. In his heart chakra, he has the Eiffel Tower, and we had some drama recently with the Eiffel Tower there. He reminds me of, he's the first thing I really found, and I haven't really solved the idea. I kind of think that he might be like a voodoo doll for humanity, or maybe he could be a way of disrespecting Christ. You know, he's like a solar entity. I think of him as a solar entity because he's pointing at Stonehenge, and he has special alignments here. Now, I just want to show you, he's okay, his arms are the river. This happens a lot with their pictures where they use the arms as the river. Also, they use the river as a lot of other things, mostly to be kind of a serpent type of a thing. So this could be Ophiuchus, that guy, that extra guy in the zodiac who's carrying a snake. This could be him, because his arms basically are this snake. And the snake here is also her veil. In London, the snake is going right through the center of a skull. In Washington, D.C., the river that is named after a snake originally is going right through the center of the mouth of that skull. So, I mean, okay, so here we go. We're just going to look in here and just want to show you that he's an Orion Chiro construction. If you look at the symbolism of the Vatican, they have a P and an X, and this has an X here. Here's part of the X right here. It goes right here, and here's another part, and here's another part of the X. And there's actually quite a few X's. You just have to look down in here. This would be his belt. So this is an allusion to the Orion belt. And people do, in these ancient and modern depictions of this, they do depict Orion's belt either going up the center of the Chiro or across the middle of it. And so it's just symbolic. All it means is that this is Orion. Orion points in the sky. Orion points to the Pleiades, the 7 stars near one of the trinity of suns at the basis of ancient religion. So Orion here is pointing at the 7 hills that are near Stonehenge, and those were found by Wayne Herschel on hiddenrecords.com. They're right around here. I haven't found them in Google Earth, but they're on his website. He has some really great pictures of it. Now this points at Stonehenge. There are star maps all over the world. There's not just one. There's plenty, and this is what hiddenrecords.com, his website is about. He wrote a book about this, Wayne Herschel. It's a really great book. It's only $20. It's a great Christmas present. I try to sell as many of those as I can, just because the more smart people we have, the better off we're all going to be. So we all need to read this book and figure out all about these star maps. So here's another star map where this Stonehenge guy, this solar man, is pointing at the wormhole, the symbolic wormhole of Ra up here. And if you do a little digging and scraping, you will find that our elites still worship Ra. And I've also tried to figure out who and what Ra is, because Marduk Ra is the entity that started the Vatican, and I believe he's deified in the terms of Zeus, which the Vatican has sold to most people as Jesus. And when you say Amen, you are saluting Marduk Ra, because he was the hidden one. He was sealed underneath the pyramid for being responsible for the death of his brother Dumuzi, and he survived that with the help of relatives, and then he congratulated himself on surviving that, and the rest of his writings have to do with he was raised from the dead, and he survived all of this persecution and all this. And if that sounds familiar to you, that is at the core of the Vatican teaching, but they do use Zeus, which is another name for Ra. Anyway, this is Marduk Ra. This is Ra's star. Now Ra is different from Marduk Ra. Marduk Ra took the name Ra. Ra is a name, I believe, from the 4th age of the sun, an ancient Egyptian religion, having to do with the first creation after the four sounds of the Ankh and their opposites. That was the Ogdoad, the first 8, and that's why 8 is a holy number. And then the first creation after that is 9. That is Ra, is the all and the nothing, sort of like the Egyptian Adam. Now, I haven't studied a lot about that, and I consider that to be a bonus for me, because the more you have studied in an academic way, the more likely you are to be attached to your studying, your scores, and your grades, and they will have taught you something wrong. And so the problem is you have to release that and try to be able to think independently. But it's too bad because people's egos gets tied up in their academic accomplishments, and that, you know, ties up your flexible thinking, and you can't think flexibly anymore. So I have not been taught academically about Egyptian anything. The hieroglyphs, I can see the hieroglyphs clearly. I can see that they are teaching you major hieroglyphs wrong, and I can talk to you about for about a half an hour, and I'll convince you by the end of it that they taught you wrong. Those hieroglyphs is ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous that people even buy that stuff. Sorry to have a soapbox this morning. I'm a little early. Need to have my tea, but okay. So anyway, here she is. She's beautiful. She's holding a child. This is a holy child. I've done all these drawings. Go back and look at my time lapses, and I hope you like them. I did them to share with you. She's holding a child. The child's arm is actually wrapping around her. She has some drapage here that comes down, and she's sitting here, and here is her womb. And if this is your first video with me, you know, I hope that your tea or coffee didn't just come out your nose, but she has a womb right here. I looked here, I did not find a penis like we found in Washington, D.C., where she has a womb and there's a penis in it. And I think that's a little disrespectful to show her like that. I think these guys worship her, and that's okay. I think she's symbolic of the Holy Spirit. You know, I think they fed you a different version of this story, and they have probably a more accurate version that they've kept to themselves. And they've taught you to think of anybody who might be ready to explore a more accurate version as demonic. So if you're a Christian and you're angry and you feel like leaving me an angry message that's going to help me, you know, think like a Christian does, it's not going to work because I know too much. It's not going to work, lovies. Now, I love Christians. I even love the angry Christians, but I'm not going to allow angry Christians on my channel. So if you want to learn more, don't leave an angry comment, because I'll just block you, and then you're going to miss out on all this learning you could have had. We need to just gently and together as friends shake off the brainwashing. I grew up Catholic. I know what it's like. I actually burned books at some point in my life. I had a bunch of books, you know, that were helping me think better, and then I freaked out and I burned them all. So I know what it's like to freak out, but you shouldn't freak out and get angry at people. So don't leave me an angry comment, because that would be bad for your learning. And you're going to have to go back to the other channels where they just allow angry comments. So anyway, she has a womb right here. This is a double chalice. I have quite a few videos on chalices. This chalice happens to be 3.29 miles tall. Now that number should ring a bell, because 923 is now in 3 days. 3 days is a very symbolic number. I hope they have nothing planned for today. I found a lot of things here. You should come and watch. I found this is an actual creature that used to exist. It's called a splendor serpent. I drew this out. You can go and see my drawing. Whoever designed this area designed this to be a toy for these twins that are in this womb that are about to be born. So this is a splendor serpent, and it's pulling a chariot, just like it used to do in these great parades that Marduk used to have parades that would celebrate his passion story. They would have, just like in the Catholic Church, they had different parts of the passion story of Marduk, and they would have parades, and so that's why this creature is dressed up as a parade. This is a real creature. They genetically engineered. It's probably an intelligent lizard, horse type of thing. In case you think I'm crazy, let's just zoom in on the face. We'll see that the only two dark roofs in this area is the nostril and the eyeball. This eyeball is also a globus cruciger. I have a video, my most heavily watched video is a globus cruciger, because Casey at Enter the Stars threw me some of his many viewers, and I showed them that the globus cruciger, that you see the royals holding this, which is the ball and the cross on top. You see this everywhere. The royals are holding this. That is actually eye and brain anatomy. It refers to the back of the brain where the two eyes cross over near the pineal gland. And this is also a 111 heading, and it points somewhere. It points somewhere important in the U.S. And, you know, just go watch that video, because these are things that people need to know. Okay, so let's see, what else do I need to show you? Showed you Isis. this Holy Child, I did a whole drawing just on this Holy Child. Very, very interesting. All the things that, this is a park that was set aside by Napoleon's nephew. This is the head of the Holy Child. It has a whole bunch of drawings in here, and one of them is the scream. Can you see the scream? The Edward Bunch scream picture? Some people can see things, and some people have trouble. Different people have different skills. That's why we need to rely on each other. I'm not the best picture seer, actually. I think there's people more talented than I am. So that's just one of the pictures. There's like 3 other pictures of the Holy Child's head right there. And and also there's a phoenix here. You might be able to see it right here. There's a X, a red X here that's it's from one of my overlays that has since been corrupted, so that's not, that X actually isn't there. That's one of my overlays that's transparent. I have to go back through my places and make it fully transparent, but it does mark the spot. This X was a picture of the Virgin Mary and the child. That does overlay perfectly. Isis and her child overlay perfectly here. Lots of perfect overlays, but the X does kind of show you the tail of the phoenix, and if you look up here, you see the head of the phoenix. I was looking down here for, you know, a fire engines, something like that. I didn't see that. Maybe I should look for ash or a cemetery or something like that. Wow, I can see a lot of things now. I see a fish. Wow. Maybe I'm getting better at this. I'm gonna have to come back here and draw these things out. Oh, I want to say something to you. If you are, let me pause this and fix my thing. If you are in a place and you've looked at the map of your Google Earth and you find some pictures that kind of scare you, I just want to say that some of these pictures are, of course, placed by Freemasons, and some of these pictures are, I believe the way that Grox shows it, they are actually naturally arising out of group consciousness. Like this one was actually drawn out by Freeways. We know that you know, this one's, her womb is Disneyland. I mean, we know they went to a lot of trouble to do this. But some of them are drawn, I believe, by collective consciousness. But most of the idea that I want to tell you is that you don't need to be afraid of these. And if you are in proximity to something that scares you, you just need to call in the protection according to the spirituality and the religion that you have, and you will be protected. You do have the ability to protect yourself from these lower beings because love is more powerful. So that's all you need to do. Call in your protection, clear your area, put love all around your house, all around your vehicle, all around your family, and don't give any energy or validity to any constructions that you think might be dark. So just I want to say that because I think that people have enough to worry about, and I don't want you to be afraid of different things that I find or that you find in your area that might frighten you. So call in your love and protection. Yahshua, you know, the Vatican changed his name to Jesus, and then most of the Christians don't even follow his teachings. They judge, they take oaths. Yahshua said, don't judge, don't take oaths. They are against, you know, things that, you know, like if I went out on the street right now and made some loaves and fishes appear out of thin air, like, I think that is one of the true stories of Yahshua that somehow survived the edit. The Christians would probably, you know, kill me on the spot for sorcery. So Christians you need to kind of go back and try to see through the brainwashing. But anyway, you have the power to say to the mountain, move. That's what I want to say. You have the power to say to the mountain, move, and it's not sorcery, it's not witchcraft. Yahshua said that you would do these miracles and more, and I believe that part of the scripture is true. I don't know if it's all of the stories about Yahshua, like when he was born and where he went and all these different things. I don't know if that's all true, but I do believe there were teachers of righteousness. There were true teachers, and I believe they came, he or people like him, or maybe he's like the Dalai Lama, that he came in many lifetimes, and he came to many different cultures, because an advanced teacher of love is not going to come to one culture and make them special. That would be destructive. And they are basically wiser than we are, so they wouldn't do something stupider than even we would know how to do. So we need to go ahead and apply our own logic and realize that this is a bigger story than we've been taught. So we don't know exactly where, when Joshua was, and how the teachings, the true teachings, which must be preserved somewhere, what the particulars of those are, but we can feel in our heart where the truth is. And I do feel that Joshua had dominion over the physical. He was able to create fish and bread, walk on water, heal things, and he was able to do that with love, because love is more powerful than the physical world that you see around you. And he also told us that we would do these things in greater. So when you see something that frightens you, or if you see something that needs greater love, bring greater love to it, whether it's your area, your house, your neighbor, or some concept like Cern, or some concept like that. You can say to the mountain, move, and bring greater love to that. And you don't need to do it in a diminutive, please have mercy on me, God sort of a way. You need to do it in a way that Joshua would have done. He didn't, bow down before the sea and, dance around in a fish robe and, wave some holy water around before he walked out on the water. He did it with authority. And he meant to be a way shower. So you need to when you say to the mountain, move, you need to do it with authority too. All right. Well, I hope you like this video. The Eiffel Tower's been in the news lately. Oh, let's go back in here for our finale. Lots of stuff to see in here. Lots of stuff. There are so many drawings. There's a woman here holding a weapon. There's a mermaid here. Starbucks. There's a lot of stuff to see in here. But one thing I want to show to you is I have a few videos about the hippocampus and the separation of the brain, and this has to do with the Freedom Tower and iPet goat symbolism, where they have the separation of the brain and the lightning from heaven coming back on that wall. That's actually Philae 1.618, and that's why we have 816 showing up in various, the two skeletons below the Hoover Dam, Dillon storm roof. Sorry, that's the Charleston shooting. That was fake. I'm sorry, blanking. Oh yeah, Georgia Guidestones. How could I blank on that? So that number has been there. That's the reverse of Philae. That's the 618. I have come to find out that is the Bride of Christ number. So this, I believe that this creature, this solar man here, embodies the Bride of Christ, or the body of Christ, the idea of that we are one family and that we are one body. And here they're showing the pineal gland, and they're showing the two halves of the brain. And in the jade helm symbolism, they show a sword coming up, and it comes up through the brain. And we have seen a lot of movie moments where a sword comes from below through the head of a brain, and usually in the movies it's the head of the bad guy. Well, here I don't know if this is a bad guy or not. I'm still working on the symbolism here, but there is a separation of the brain here, and this is a disablement of one of our greatest abilities as a human, where we mix the right and the left and the male and the female parts of the brain. This is one of our greatest points of wisdom. This is what makes humans especially wonderful. And so I'm a little worried that this is not the eyebrows. These are either the corpus callosum, or this could be the double hippocampus. Now, if this was the hippocampus, it's a different kind of a sign, because it's more like a ram sign, which is the sign of Ra. He ruled, his heyday was at the age of the ram. Now I used to say in my videos that Ra is still alive, and I used to think that, but I have seen some in the backs of the books now, the recent one chapter that I read the last 2 days, there's compelling evidence that he is dead and buried. So these guys are not immortal. That they're just long-lived. So I thought they were longer lived than that, but I'll bring that to you in the back to the books. But if this is the hippocampus is the part of your brain that brings memory through lifetimes. So if you can remember other parts of your other lifetimes, you have a more advanced and integrated brain, hippocampus. And this was shown as a god feature. Now the demigods, like say Alexander the Great, he has a coin where he shows himself having these ram's horns, and what he's saying is that he's a demigod. He's related basically his father is supposed to be Ra Amun. That's who you're also, that's basically Marduk Ra. With his Egyptian name, that's who you're saluting every time you say Amen. So instead of saying Amen, I know you're going to need something else to say. Try Aho. That's the Native American word for and all creation. I think it means, and so it is, or all creation agrees, or something like that. That's Aho. So I know you're going to need something to stick in there. Stop saying Amen, because you're calling in the powers of the Anunnaki when you do that. And the Vatican Church is about the Anunnaki, and the Christian churches are about the Anunnaki. They took the good teaching of Yahshua and they wrapped a whole bunch of Anunnaki crap around it. Okay, brain symbolism, hippocampus, memory through lifetimes. If you have memory through lifetimes, what it starts to be like, what your experience starts to be like, is time travel. And this is why you will see this type of symbolism associated with time travel. Okay, so this is our little bit on this guy. There's multiple embedded faces here. So this is also like a transformer code, and it's also like a code within a code. Now we know that the royals went all nuts for ostrich feathers at one point. And this has to do with the structural pigment of the feather, and also the peacock feather on the NBC logo. But that logo is a double code. It's a structural pigment code, and it's also the ship of Ra. If you look at Wayne Herschel's videos about the ship of Ra landing on the back of the Sphinx, you will see that that's the same shape. So this is, for some reason they have an ostrich here. I haven't studied a lot about the ostrich symbolism, but we know that there was a craze among the royals to wear ostrich feathers, and that's not a coincidence that that's there. And basically, when we're dealing with these guys, nothing is a coincidence. So we have the different chakras here of this Eiffel man, and then we have this is his pelvic chakra, and these are his legs. So let's just take a look here. I have a feeling that what they did is they stuck metal in his heart, or else his heart chakra is captive by metal. This is some kind of a voodoo doll type of a thing. Like, this is a giant pin in a voodoo doll. So if this is a Christ figure, this is the stake through the heart idea. There's probably tons of geometry in this Eiffel Tower. So supposedly somebody was here with a backpack. I'm going to try to look that up because there's going to be code in the headline. And we can see all the different kind of faces that are in here. Also, there's a tear on it would be his left eye as he's facing out. Everything, also when you look down here, there's symmetry here. And just like in Washington, D.C., where Isis has different things on the side of her head, this person has different things on the side of their head. That shows that this is, it alludes to ancient astronaut type of ideas. And this is why Princess Leia was written like this. She, with those things on the side of her head, she's part of the twins. She's part of the Isis. Isis had a twin. Inanna Ishtar had a twin. Inanna Ishtar, Isis, Marie, the Virgin Mary, Mary Magdalene, Diana, Artemis. All these names are basically the same person. This is not a moon goddess. That is an academic distortion. That is not the moon. These guys are astronauts. They're not going to come here and use our pitiful little tiny moon as their insignia. That is an exoplanet. If you go up to Stonehenge and you study that area, it shows 4 exoplanets over there by that star. That's where they came from. In the Egyptian artwork, it shows Ra pointing at that star, saying that this is where I come from. So that's not a moon. Has nothing to do with a moon. So just every time you see that, you see George Washington wearing a moon on his, it's not a moon. It's an exoplanet. It's where these guys came from. And they consider themselves to be gods. And then they teach you that that it's sinful to consider yourself to be a god. Meanwhile, the Freemasons do it, but they've twisted the Christmas tree lights up here so hard that you think that you're blaspheming. Plus, the Vatican Church, instilled fear for hundreds of generations about blood. So you basically have that fear within yourselves from your past lives and people that you've lost. I mean, it's a real fear that's still within you. But it's not about, like, when you think of God, when you close your eyes and think of God, you're not thinking of a white Anunnaki God in a spaceship, are you? No. You're thinking of a bigger creator. When they say that they are gods or whatever, God is a title, and there's a code in the word of the title. So it's a title, and it means that those who from the heavens came. So if you're related to them, then you're going to be a demigod, or you know, if you go through their school, then you get to be, you know, you get a sticker at the end of your kindergarten when you reach the 33rd or the unfrozen level, and then you're supposedly a god. It's crazy. They want to be like the Anunnaki. Well, all of this is going to come out. All of these truths are going to come out. We're going to have some turbulence here, and after that, these truths are going to come out, and they're not going to be able to do all this stuff anymore. So then we'll find out what this really means, and we'll see if I'm right, because I think it's a few things. I think it's a voodoo doll, and some other symbolic things. I think it's a place of black magic. They probably have some buildings. They probably have underground stuff here, where they do crazy stuff. Here, I'll show you. Here's where Diana died, and they have an underground tunnel here. And supposedly they have a torch here, and that is another symbolic thing. So there's a lot of underground things here. I bet there's a whole underground complex underneath this, and this is probably just an upper representation of some of the magic ideas, the dark magic ideas that they have. Now, we don't need to be scared of this. The reason why they have to go to all this trouble and do all these rituals is because they basically don't have some of the integrated power that humans have, because we were designed for this place. We are the true creations of this spot. We are more integrated fractally and divinely to this spot, and they are not. That's why they have to build tunnels and dance around in robes and stuff. And that's why they're afraid of us. So we don't need to be afraid of them. Our love, the love that we have naturally in our heart, is so powerful, and that's why we have this. That's why they put this here, because that's how powerful your heart is. All right, just want to leave you with a happy, good note. You are a powerful human being. Just amplify your love, and love and safety to you in these next days. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.